muli kami ni Secretary Sani Coloma sa ating special kapihan sa Manila Hotel. Special kasi usually we hold the kapihan on a Wednesday, but yesterday was the 455th anniversary, founding anniversary of the city of Manila. So we decided to forgo with the kapihan sa Manila Hotel yesterday, but luckily we have a very good resource person to discuss with us today what are the what can happen after the Sarangani earthquake, which produced 7.8 magnitude and 8 intensity, 8 level. Well, we always have to remind ourselves that there is no substitute to preparation, because these are natural events. They can happen at any time without knowing, because we cannot predict. Of course, we will ask our resource person to discuss that with us, but we will discuss something about earthquake in this special kapihan. So let us welcome Director Teresito Bacolcol, the head of the PBOX, and is a graduate of our University of the Philippines. Graduated with a degree on geology, and then a masteral degree from Université de Paris on geosciences and natural resources, also doctorate degree from the same university. So let us welcome Director Teresito Bacolcol.
Okay,
Good morning po.
yes, good morning, sir. And I'd like to apologize. I'm wearing mask kasi I just had a surgery 3 weeks ago, some mandible, but it's okay. No. It's still on the process of healing.
Siguro po ang isang katanungan that is uppermost in most minds today is how prepared are we for the big one?
Okay.
Dahil matagal na pong pinaghahandaan yan. Last week merong mga
May
earthquake preparation exercises. Ano po ang assessment ninyo at ang inyong tanggapan hinggil sa state of readiness ng ating community for what we don't wish would happen, but if it does, ano po ang ating state of preparedness?
Okay, so we cannot be 100% ready. That's for sure, that's impossible. But I would say that we're more prepared now than say 20 or 30 years ago. Ang bilis kumalat ng information ngayon, especially with the advent of the social media, ang bilis kumalat ng information kung anong nangyari sa Sarangani, seconds lamang, alam na ng buong Pilipinas. So people are now more aware than say 20 or 30 years ago because of the social media. And katulad po ng nabanggit ninyo, because of the yung regular earthquake drill na ginagawa natin, every quarter yan, again, I would say that people are now more aware than previous years. But to say that if we're 100% ready, I don't think that's quite accurate. I would say that yun lang masasabi ko, we're more prepared now than say 20 or 30 years ago.
Palagi natin naririnig yung faults, Sani, di ba? Faults, trenches. Anong difference po nung faults at saka nung trenches? At saka ano yung magnitude at saka yung intensity?
Okay, so let's start with the magnitude and intensity muna, yung difference ng dalawa kasi minsan na-interchange natin. Yung magnitude is the amount of energy released during an earthquake, while the intensity is how the people perceive the shaking. So for instance, magandang analogy would be a bulb. So 50 watts, say for instance. So anywhere in the room, malayo ka man sa bulb or malapit, yung magnitude, yung watts, yung magnitude is equivalent to the wattage, would still be the same, still 50 watts. whether you're far or near the light source. But the intensity that you will perceive depends on how close you are to the source of the light. So the closer you are, the higher the intensity. The farther you are, the lighter the intensity. So yun yung magandang analogy. Now for the faults and the trench, yung faults, these are yung break doon sa mga bato natin kung saan nagbabanggaan sila. So yung faults pwede rin sa dagat, pwede rin sa lupa. Whereas yung trench natin, yung mga plates natin nagbabanggaan, habang nagbabanggaan sila, yung isa gumigit-git papailalim. So sa dagat natin makikita yung mga trenches natin. So habang gumigit-git yan, minsan hindi yan smooth na paggigit-git, minsan may stuck, and then nagkaroon ng friction, so hindi makagalaw. So nag-iipon ng energy yan. So nung ma-overcome niya na yung pressure, biglang bumulusok pababa, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng malakas na pagdindol.
Anong ahensya ng pamahalaan? Hindi naman napipredict, as I said, hindi napipredict itong lindol. Hindi. At ang mga tinatamaan na madidisgrasya dito, unang-una yung mga structures. Kasi pag gumagalaw yung lupa gumagalaw. No? So magsisway yung mga buildings, whether residential or high-rise buildings. Anong ahensya ng pamahalaan ang talagang malaki ang responsibilidad para sa ganun ay mailigtas ang mga tahanan? Kasi pagka bumagsak yung tahanan, siyempre may mga tao, yan namatay na sa earthquake sa Sarangani ay 78 at maraming injured at marami pa nawawala. So nasa loob, either yung iba naman nasa labas, baka nasa sasakyan, nagkaroon ng lindol, baka nagkabiyak yung lupa, baka bumulusok sa pailalim yung mga sasakyan. Ano ang ahensya ng pamahalaan na dapat ay may malaking responsibilidad sa paghahanda laban sa lindol?
Okay, so first and foremost, yung for the building code, yung implementation niyan is with the LGU. So sila
LGU.
dapat talaga ang masusing tumitingin kung nagko-comply ba sa minimum engineering standards. Now, for some of our public buildings, public infrastructures, yung DPWH, sila yung nag-assess kung earthquake resilient ba ang mga ito. In fact, as of last year, that was the data from last year, DPWH has already assessed more than 20,000 public infrastructures for in-assess nila on the kung resilient ba ito for
Metro Manila or the entire country?
the entire country. For Metro Manila, they have assessed more than 120. That was last year, so siguro nadagdagan na yung yung data nila ngayon. Kasi that was, if I can recall it correctly, that was April last year. They said that already have assessed for whole country more than 20,000, around 21,000, and then for Metro Manila more than 120.
Buildings, public buildings.
Public buildings.
Okay. Pero
And
yung residential, local governments.
Yung residential, LGU yung ano yan.
At saka yung private buildings.
That's right, that's right.
LGU.
When it comes to the compliance of the building code, dapat LGU yan.
Yeah. Itong DPWH, as you said, sila nag-inspect ng mga public buildings. Itong mga local governments ba? Dito halimbawa Metro Manila, 17 ito na local government units. Talaga bang nag-i-inspection sila at ini-evaluate yung mga buildings, mga private buildings at saka yung mga residential areas? Paano naman yung residential areas?
I suppose they're nag-inspect sila kasi kapag for example, nagpapagawa ka ng bahay, you have
Building
to ask
permit.
for the building permit. And they have to make sure na, kasi ang recommendation natin sa opisina, sa FIVOX, dapat walang structure on top of an active fault. So humihingi naman sila ng information from, well, pinapacertify nila yung kung magpapagawa ka ng bahay, kung how far you are to an active fault. Dati, they have to go to the office para humingi ng certification. Ngayon, it's already available online. And ang process dati would take you 3 days kasi nga yung mag-a-apply, hihingi ng certification from us. Ngayon, 20 seconds lang, makiklik na nila and ma-verify ng LGU kasi available na yung information natin online, nasa Hazard Hunter PH. If you're interested, yung mga nakikinig sa atin ngayon, if you want to know what are the hazards in your area, near your place, kung how far you are to an active fault, just check Hazard Hunter PH. Hindi lamang yan for earthquake-related hazards, hindi lamang yan for volcano-related hazards. Also kung prone ba sa flooding yung lugar ninyo. Kasi yung data, nanggaling din po yan sa Mines and Geosciences Bureau as well as Pag-asa.
Gaano po kahigpit, no? How closely knit are your relationships with the enforcement agencies? No? Kasi you have the science, but they have the enforcement mechanism. No? Local government, DPWH. Pakishare lang po sa atin yung aspects of coordination and what you're doing also to upgrade the capability of our government personnel.
Okay, so we work closely with the LGUs. In fact, we have isa yan sa mga pinagyayabang namin. We're closely working with them. We provide them with the information. For hindi lang sa earthquake, for example, sa vulkan. Kapag may alert level, binibigay ka sa mga LGUs and then sinasabi natin na dapat walang tao inside the permanent danger zone, which is kinukumply naman din nila. Kasi enforcement naman ng evacuation nasa kanila. Kami naman sa opisina, wala kaming police powers. Sila yung may power to compel people to move out. So again, kapag may bago kaming information, nagmapa kami, we have new information about an active fault, we provide immediately yung mga LGUs ng information para sila rin maging aware. And we also help them with their comprehensive land use plans. We help them prepare. Nagko-comment kami doon sa mga data na nilalagay nila kasi kami yung, when it comes to earthquakes and volcano data, kami yung may hawak. So, chine-check din namin yung land use plans nila.
Naalala ko po nung nagkaroon tayo ng Mount Pinatubo eruption. That was something that was foreseen, pero malaki po ang agwat, di po ba? Centuries ang inintay. Meron po ba tayong binabantayan, no? Wag man sana mangyari na possible eventuality na meron diyang long extinct volcano na maaring maging site of an eruption, wag sanang mangyari, pero meron po ba tayong watch list na ganyan?
Meron tayong mga, again, we have the list of potentially active volcanoes and we have the list of active volcanoes. We have 27 potentially active volcanoes and we have 24 active volcanoes. So out of the 24 active volcanoes, 4 ngayon yung may alert level. So lahat naman yung 24 active volcanoes binabantayan natin, although as of now, out of the 24 active volcanoes, 10 yung may monitoring tayo. And out of the 10 monitored active volcanoes, 2 lang yung may kumpletong equipment, which is yung Mayon and Taal. So that's the reason why we pushed for the FIVOX modernization and it was approved last year.
What about Canlaon po? Madalas din siya maging active.
Yes, Canlaon is very much restive since 2024 pa. And right now, nasa alert level 2 pa rin yung Canlaon volcano. So hindi pa natin naibaba. Since 2024, when it first erupted after 7 years, and we raised the alert level to alert level 3. But right now, nasa alert level 2 yung Canlaon volcano. And every now and then, may abo. Nag-emit pa rin siya ng abo. But hopefully, mag-dwindle na yung parameters and para ma-lower na natin yung alert level from alert level 2 to alert level 1 or even alert level 0. But right now, again, yung pinapakita ng Canlaon volcano is still consistent sa kanyang alert level 2 status.
Yung pong Pinatubo, medyo matagal na rin yung panahon, no? Pero nung tayo po ay tinamaan nito, matindi rin po, no, ang naging epekto dahil Metro Manila ang most affected.
Yes, in fact, yung ash, yung naka-apekto sa Metro Manila would be the ash. In fact, it went as far as Malaysia and it
Ashfall.
traveled, yes. Right now, yung Pinatubo is nasa alert level 0. So sana mag-stay na siya ng ganun. Hindi na madagdagan yung 4 pa kasi 4 yung may alert levels ngayon. Mayon is alert level 3, Canlaon, yung nabanggit ko na alert level 2, Taal and Bulusan Volcano nasa alert level 1.
Ano yung, saan makikita yung hazard hunter? Pakiulit nyo nga.
Hazard Hunter PH. Google nyo lang, search nyo Hazard Hunter PH, and then if you're interested to know kung ano yung mga hazard sa lugar nyo, i-click nyo lang. Or kung gusto nyo, kung i-search nyo yung, ilagay nyo dun sa box kung ano yung lugar na gusto nyo malaman kung ano yung mga hazards. And it will provide you with all the hazards, how far you are to an active fault, ano yung mga, anong intensity yung mararamdaman kapag may lindol, ano yung mga areas, ano yung volcanic hazards kung malapit kayo sa vulkan, ano yung mga hazards meron, and earthquake-induced landslides, rain-induced landslides, and flooding also. So malalaman niyo po yan.
Napag-usapan na madalas yung West Valley Fault. It's also called a trench. 6 itong trenches na ito sa Pilipinas. Pero ang pinaka-aabangan talaga itong West Valley Fault kasi land-based. Land-based ito eh. Mas malaki ba ang danyos kung land-based yung epicenter? Or yung iba sea-based? Yung Manila Trench is galing sa dagat yon eh. Nasa ilalim ng lupa, sa dagat. Pero dito sa West Valley Fault, talagang inland ito eh. Ano yung pagka mag-move ang West Valley Fault at 7.2 or 7.2. Yung bang ibig sabihin, yun ang maximum magnitude. Ang intensity noon ay intensity 8. Napag-aralan na, 35,000 deaths to 48,000 deaths kung kasama pa yung apekto yung Laguna, Bulacan, in Cavite, and Pampanga, and Rizal. Itong mga areas na ito. At every 400 years, yun ang batay sa pinag-uusapan. Nandun na tayo sa period na yon. Parang may pattern. Although you cannot predict it, pero may pattern. So, sa palagay mo, ang ating gobyernong lokal dito sa Metro Manila, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite, Laguna, yung Quezon ba, pwedeng tamaan din? Maapektuhan?
In Quezon pwede kasi
pwede.
malapit lang naman.
So, 35 to 48,000 deaths and damages to infrastructure, bridges, for example, roads, damage to residential at saka sa mga buildings. This is the worst scenario. And if this happens, anong iyong tansya batay sa paghahanda na ginagawa ng PBOX, ng OCD, ng local governments?
Again, I would say that we're more prepared now, but there are still challenges. For instance, yung density ng population, Metro Manila is densely populated with more than 13 million inhabitants. So kapag mag 7.2, it would be really difficult to mobilize, yung mga teams to help. That's the reason why ang ginawa ng Office of the Civil Defense, meron tayong tinatawag na twinning. Certain regions of the country are assigned to help, say, the eastern portion of Metro Manila. Others are assigned to help yung southern and yung northern and the eastern part. So may mga assignments na yung mga ibang regions. And but I would say again that we are more prepared now than say 20 or 30 years ago. Kasi nga po, ang laki ng naitulong ng earthquake drill natin sa Kamalayan, pagpukan ng Kamalayan ng ating mga kababayan. But and then kami naman sa FIVOX, tinuturo namin sa mga LGUs kung saan dumadaan yung mga active faults. Yung West Valley Fault. In fact, every now and then nagsasagawa kami ng walk the fault. Tinuturo namin sa mga LGU sa Pasig, sa dati Makati, pero yung 5 barangays ng Makati na nasa Taguig na, so nailipat na sa Taguig yung West Valley Fault. So tinuturo namin pati sa Quezon City, tinuturo namin kung saan yung location ng mga active fault ng West Valley Fault. And nilalagyan nila ng mga markers yan. So minsan kapag napapasyal kayo sa Pasig, may nakikita kayo West Valley Fault, ito yung trace. So identified na kaagad kung saan yung mga lugar na tatamaan. And that's the reason why that I would say that people are now more prepared and more aware than say 20 or 30 years ago.
Okay. Doon yata po sa dinadaanan namin palagi sa South Superhighway at SLEX, meron din pong fault line doon, di ba? Especially doon sa side ng Muntinlupa leading up to Laguna de Bay coastline. No?
Mahaba po yan. It's 100 kilometers from Bulacan all the way to Cavite. That's the reason why, tulad po na sinabi ni Sir, yung maximum credible earthquake that can be generated in the West Valley Fault is magnitude 7.2. And yung 400 years, it's 400 to 600 years. So the last time it moved was in 1658. Now, if we take the lower limit, which is 400 years, so 400 years, 1658 plus 400 years, that would be 2058. But of course, it doesn't mean na by 2058 mangyari yan. It could be earlier, or it could be later, or it could even happen doon sa upper limit niya, which is 600 years. And when we say 600 years, that would be 200 years from now. But of course, we have to assume we have to assume the worst, that it will happen on the lower limit, near the lower limit, so that we will prepare. Baka isipin ng mga tao, baka mangyari yan on the upper limit, which is 200 years from now, we will not prepare. Kung nangyari yan on the lower limit. And minsan meron din tayong what we call yung normalization bias na as far as I can recall, wala namang magnitude 7.2 na nangyari based on my recent memory. So it will not happen. Yun yung iniisip ng mga iba sa atin eh. But the thing is, it happened in the past, hindi pa tayo pinanganak. It will happen again.
Speaking po past memory, no, naalala ko yung 1990, parang early afternoon nangyari yun. No? Yun naman Ruby Tower, madaling araw. So, masasabi ba natin na less harmful yung at a certain time of day o wala naman talaga tayong handle on that, no? And we'll just have to say, kaawaan tayo na may kapal pero maghanda tayo ng ganap.
Yes po, tama po kayo, wala tayong handle kung kailan mangyari yung lindol. Again, earthquakes are random events and they have their own timeline, they have their own schedule. They don't follow our schedule. Like what happened sa Cotabato earthquake, magnitude 7.8, it happened 7:37 a.m. Maganda, buti na lang, nangyari yon umaga, yung mga bata nasa flag ceremony sila. So nakikita natin yung response ng mga bata. Yung ginagawa nila is yung response kapag nakapag-evacuate na sila. But since it happened 7:37, outside na sila, they no longer need to evacuate. Ang ginawa nila, umupo sa ground, which is a good thing. Yun naman yung tinuturo natin eh. But if it happened, say, 1 hour after, or 8:37, nasa loob na sila, siguro yung maging casualty natin mas mataas. In fact, noong 1976, sa Cotabato rin, the same trench, Cotabato Trench, meron tayong magnitude 8.1 and it happened past midnight and tulog yung mga tao. And that's the reason why 8,000 people died. That's 8.1. And yung tsunami waves arrived 5 minutes after the main shock. So 5 minutes lang. That's the reason why kami sa FIVOX, tinuturo natin na kapag if it's locally generated tsunami, nanggaling sa mga trenches natin, we have no more time to warn kasi 5 minutes lang darating na yung tsunami waves. So ang gagawin dapat, dapat aware yung mga coastal communities natin. Hindi lang coastal communities, tayo rin. Kahit nakatira tayo sa bundok, kung namamasyal naman tayo sa dagat, kung magkaroon ng lindol, dapat alam natin yung natural signs of an impending tsunami. Ano to? Una, there is a strong shaking na halos hindi ka na makatayo. Pangalawa, biglang nag-recede yung dagat, tubig dagat. And pangatlo, may roaring sound or dagundong na sound na nanggaling sa dagat. Kahit isa man lang dito sa tatlo yung ma-observe natin, then we have to move to a higher place immediately. Ang nangyari sa Cotabato nung June 8, nakikita natin yung ibang mga kababayan natin, nag-recede na yung dagat, ang ginawa nila, nag-Facebook Live pa. So kumuha ng cellphone, and parang proud pa sila, oy, itong dagat, nag-recede na. Paano kung bumalik yun as tsunami waves na mataas? Katulad nung nangyari sa August 17, 1976, umabot ng 8 to 10 meter high yung tsunami waves. Di naging casualty pa sila. May tsunami ring nangyari noong August 8, pero hindi ganun kataas. Yung sensor namin nakadetect ng 1.4 meter tsunami waves. And then based sa kasi may mga kasama tayo sa FIVOX na nag-iikot to assess the impact, may mga documented na umabot ng 3 meters yung tsunami waves. And na pumasok yung tubig 1.5 kilometers inland. So yun yung dapat matandaan natin mga kababayan. Na perfect na natin yung, hindi naman na perfect, but okay na tayo sa earthquake drill, yung duck, cover, and hold. Okay? So, past earthquakes, papakita yung mga videos nangyari sa Baguio nung last year, yung mga bata nag-duck, cover, and hold, and then nag-evacuate quietly and kalmados lang lumabas sa schools. Pero yung kailangan natin paigtingin pa, yung information dissemination drive sa mga coastal communities. Anong dapat nilang tandaan kapag may para maiwasan yung makaligtas sa locally generated tsunami?
Okay.